Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Welcome to all the guests. So a woman, let's say, gives birth. She has to, one of the korbanos she brings is a bird. Oila. What's the procedure? Allah lakevesh upana l'soivev. He goes up the ramp and makes a right turn, and that's it. That's where he stops. Right there on the first corner. Bala the Karen Dremis Mizrachis. It's called southeast corner. We spoke a lot about the southwest corner. That's opposite that corner. Obviously, they're both on the south side. The south side is the side of the ramp. So if you make a right turn, you would hit the southeast. If you make a left turn, you would hit the southwest corner. Sometimes you make a left right away. Sometimes you go all the way around the Mizbech to get to the southwest corner. Most of the time you go all the way around. So if I were to ask you, what are the differences that you could come up with between a chatos and an oila bird? Both birds. Above the line and below the line. The oila, you take off the head, and the chatos, you don't take off the head. Anybody else? The oila, you don't eat, and the chatos, you do eat. What else? If there's hazah or no hazah. The sprinkling or no. And what else? What place on the Mizbeach do you do it on? The oila you do on the south. Oila, we're just reading now. Oila, southeast. And a chatos on the... So here's the little list I put together. The oila you do above the red line. The chatos you do below the red line. The oila doesn't have a zah. Chatos has a zah. Oila, you chop the head off or you cut the two simanim. Chatos says it's also to cut the head. The oila completely goes onto the mizbeach. The chatos, the kohen eats. The oila is on the southeast corner. Unless there is overflow, there's too many chatois on the southeast, so then you could also use the southwest, and that's where you throw 30 amma. He doesn't go up the ramp to the top. He has to take the first exit. He takes the first exit halfway because he's going to the soivev. To get to the soivev, to go to the ledge, you can't go all the way up to the top. You go to the top, you miss the ledge. The ledge is halfway up. So he has to take the exit. Here, so he takes the exit off, and that's the corner he's at. He does his thing. He does the malika, b'chulu. There's the mitzui on that corner. Now, he has to separate the head, right? The head and... What happened over there?
Yeah, that's only the head.
Oh, it's only the head. He goes and dunks it in salt. There's a thing of salt on the mizbeach. He puts it in salt, and then he tosses it into the fire, into the maracha. Then he has to redo the whole thing. He has to do that same thing, the same process with the body. First he does the head, then he does the body. I saw the Chazon Ish says the mamish goes all the way around, and he's walking 300 meters according to the Chazon Ish. Kobe added that. He did the salt to the thing, because we didn't have salt yesterday by the Hebrew. He would do malika in the back of the neck, umavdil, and he separates the head from the body. In other words, what does it mean separate the head from the body? It means to go through the two simanim, the trachea and the esophagus, the cut and the veshet. Umitza is dama al mizbeach. There's no hazah. He goes and he gives a good kvetch with the body on the wall of the mizbeach. Not on the wall of the heichal, not on the wall of the ramp, on the wall of the mizbeach. Not al saroish. He takes the head. V'hikiv beis milikasal mizbeach. He goes and he puts the head on the v'hikiv over here is the lotion of to put it on the wall. So he does mitzui. Usfagay b'melach. Then he goes and how do you say sfagay? Okay. Sfagay really means to absorb. But he dunks it into the salt b'melach. Uzrokoy al gabe ishim, and then he throws it onto the fire of the maracha and the mizbeach. Balei laguf. He comes back after he's on top of the mizbeach. To get to the top, he has to go down the small ramp, the exit ramp, and come back up the main ramp. He does that whole thing back. stayed on the corner of the mizbeach, on the southeast corner, right there where he did the malika.
But he left it lying there.
He leaves it lying there. Yeah, you have to leave it lying there. If he comes back to the body. The only issue we have is that what if there's other koyanim there? So they probably had barcodes and different things, scan, and this is mine, that's yours, or different, I don't know. And then he opens up the body of this animal, of this bird, and he takes out the mura, which is the zepek, here, the zit, the crop. Vesanoitzo. So we're going to learn, we're going to see two pshatim in the word noitza. Noitza in Hebrew means a feather. So you take the feather with it, we'll show you how it's done. And he takes the kishkes out, and he tosses it, as you saw yesterday, into the Beis Hadeshen, which is an area 10 amma down the ramp, next to the ramp, and it absorbs all these things miraculously. Derech nes, it goes into the ground. Shisav lo hivdil. So shisav just means that you take it and you rip it open. You, with your hands, you open up the bird. V'lo hivdil. But you don't open it up that much that it separates completely. You don't want to make two parts out of it. You just pop it open. V'im hivdil kosher. But if you were too strong and you ripped it apart, it's kosher. Savge b'melach, you submerge it in salt. Uzroka al gabi ishim. Then this part also you toss into the ma'arach on the mizbeach. Lo hisir amura v'lo hanoitza. If you didn't do one of the avodas that occurs after the mitzui adam, which is like the zrika, and we know the zrika is like the final matir. It's the thing that counts most. So if you didn't do those other things, it's not the end of the world. You didn't take out the crop, and the feather, you didn't take out the innards, you didn't dunk it in salt. Since these are all things that happen after the mitzvah adam, which is like the zrika, kshera, it's still kosher. We're moving on to the chatas. Hivda b'chatas, if you took off the head of the chatas bird, which the Torah says lo yavdil, you should not, so it's possible. V'lo hidil ba'oila, or you did not remove the head of the oila, which you should remove. In other words, you should go through the two simanim. And by chatas doesn't mean literally removing the head. It means you went too far. You went through two simanim, through the trachea and the esophagus. Possible, no good. Mitzvahs dama rosh v'le mitzvah dama guf psula. If you only squeezed out the head of the oila and not that of the body, possible. Mitzvah dama guf. But if you squeezed out the blood from the body of the oila v'le mitzvah dama rosh kshera. The Gemara is going to explain that most of the blood, it's actually a pasuk. That's the ikr. The body is the ikr. The head is the tafel. Oh, now if you recall, this is easy stuff. When you bring an oila, let's say, you bring an oila, and you think to yourself, the kohen thinks to himself that it's not an oila, it's a shlamim. What's the halacha? That's called loy l'shma. The halacha is it's okay. The owner didn't get a kapara, you would have to bring another, or let's say he promised an oila, you'd have to bring another oila. But you continue the avodah, you continue putting everything on the mizbeach, you continue the zrika, the whole thing, it's a good carbon. The only two karbanos that if you mess up on what it is are ruined are the chatos and pesach. That is where do we see this? First mission of zevochim. Kol zevochim shenizbuchu shaloi l'shmon ksherim el shaloi la'alu l'baylam shem chayva. It's kosher if you switch the type of carbon it is. Chutz me pesach v'chatos. So by the way, a bird chatos is like an animal chatos. So if you mess up, you think to yourself that this is an oila bird, not a chatos bird, take this bird, toss it into the garbage, wherever the garbage is, not a literal garbage, you put it on a special garbage heap over there. It's not a good chatos. But if the reverse, if you have an oila bird, and you thought to yourself it's a chatos, it would be okay. The owner would have to bring another one. So says the Mishnah. Now, it's very important if you think about it. What are the four avodas of a carbon? Shchita. What comes after shchita? Kabbalah, and after that, halacha, and after that, zrika. What happens by a bird? What do we have? We have milika, which is like Shchita. What else do we have? Mitzui. What about Kabbalah and Eilacha? Don't exist. So there's only 2 avodas by a bird. So therefore, the first avodah is to do malika, to shecht it. I mean, they can't say shecht. Well, what would be a better word in English? No, to how do you say shchita? To slaughter. You slaughter it, so it doesn't matter how you slaughter it. There's a shchita from the front, malika is from the back. Okay. So if you did malika by a chatas, you thought to yourself that it's a oila, that's it, it's done. Puzzle. Mitzah dama shalei lishma. And what's the other option? That you had that thought during the mitzvah, the blood on the wall. Shalei lishma, you thought to yourself, it's not a chatas, it's a oila. Lishma v'shalei lishma. Let's say in the malika itself, you thought to yourself, it's a chatas, and then you thought to yourself, no, it's a oila. Or shalei lishma v'lishma. You thought to yourself, it's a oila, and then you thought to yourself, chatas. Doesn't matter which one you thought first. Psula, all these cases is possible. Why? Because a chatos, you cannot think about another type of carbon during a chatos. Doesn't matter if it's an animal or a bird. But if you thought to yourself while you're doing an oila, you thought to yourself it was a chatos, it's kosher. But it doesn't work for the owner, you'd have to bring another one. Kosher just means you continue being makriv it. Oh. Echad chatas ha'oiv, echad oila ha'oiv, shemelakon, shemitza is daman. Those are the 2 avodas Rabbi Yisai, Melika and Mitzui. That's the only 2 times. Lechol, davar shedarki lechol. So let's talk about Lishma here. I mean, Pigul. What is Pigul? Just in the simplest terms, Pigul is, let's say you have an animal that you could eat for 2 days. It's a shlamim. You're allowed to eat it for 2 days. So the kohen who's doing the shchita, he thinks himself he's going to eat it in 3 days from now. 1 more day after you're allowed to eat it. It's outside of its allotted time. Instead of you're allowed to eat it for 2 days, he thinks himself he's going to eat it for 3 days. He's going to make a bris for his kid in 7 days, he's going to eat it then. You could have that thought during shchita, you could have that thought during here. It has to be during one of the 4 avodas. You can have that thought while you're shechting, while you're doing Kabbalah, while you're doing Halacha, and while you're doing Zrika. What thought? It could be anything that has to do with eating. I'm going to make a barbecue in 4 days. Or, I am going to put this meat on the mizbeach in 4 days, because that's a type of eating. Why is that eating? Because the mizbeach is eating the meat. I'm going to do the Zrika in 4 days, because Zrika is also a type of eating. I'm going to do the Shirayim in 4 days from now. That's also a type of here. So it just shows you. It's 2 tnaim, two conditions. I'm going to do the Zrika, I'm going to do the fine. Thursday more. That's just to make it more complicated. But just Paj, if you want to just get it the easiest form, while he's doing Shchita, he thought to himself he's going to make a barbecue, which is the last condition on the number 2. On condition number 1 is Shchita, and 4-2. So that's the easiest one. Pigul is super sensitive. In order to be over on Pigul, it has to be a thought of just Pigul. Just Pigul. You can't involve any other bad thoughts. You want to be over this Avera, you want to go through the whole Torah and say, I was over on Chil Shabbos, I was over on, I ate at McDonald's, and now I want to be over on Pigul. So you have to make sure that you think this thought, that you're going to eat it outside of its allotted time, and that's it. But if once you add another thought, let's say I'm going to eat it outside its allotted place, where I'm only allowed to eat the shlamim in Yerushalayim, and he thought to himself, well, I'm going to eat it in Bet Shemesh, boom, you ruined the Pigul. It can't be Pigul now. Even though you thought to yourself, I'm going to eat it in Bet Shemesh in 7 days from now, you said I'm going to eat it in 7 more days, that's Pigul. But since you said in Bet Shemesh, it knocks off the Pigul. Pigul has to be pure, just, I'm going to eat it outside of its allotted time. And therefore, the Mishnah gives us like 6 cases of the same exact idea. So it goes like this. And by the way, it's all Chazara. It's all stuff that we learned before. Here, look. This is just Maisa is the Shechita Kabbalah, and he has a thought. What's his thought? While he does one of these 4 things, we discussed. This is what we just discussed. He thought he's going to eat a barbecue, or he thought he's going to do Zrika. Fine. What else could I show you to confuse you? Okay, give out. Oh, here. Chutz l'makom, chutz l'zman. Chutz l'zman means he's going to eat it in 7 days from now. You put it in the freezer. That you get kares if you eat it. Chutz l'makom means I'm going to eat it outside of Yerushalayim. That makes it possible. There's no kares on that. Chutz l'makom, chutz l'zman. Pigul that we're discussing is the one on the right. Chutz l'zman. So here goes. Echad chatas. So what is it? 7, 8 lines from the bottom. Echad chatas ve'echad chatas soif ve'echad oil soif. So all these halachas that we learned in the beginning of Masechta apply exactly the same way to a bird. Shemalakam shemit says dam lechol davar shedarkoid lechol. But there's only 2 avodas by a bird. There's only the milika and the mitzvah. So these machshavas have to occur during those 2 avodas. So either shemalakam, he did milika, v'shemit says dam, or he squeezed the blood out of the wall. And he thought to himself, lechol davar shedarki lechol. What do you eat? Which one of the birds are you eating? Only the chatas, not the oila. Ulahak the davar shedarki lahaktir. Mainly the oila is what you maktir, little part of the chatas. Chutzim kaimah. He thought to himself he's going to eat it in Bet Shemesh. Hasul ve'im beikaris. Thinking that thought during those 2 avodas, either milika or mitzui adam, makes it possible. But there's no severe punishment of kares. But if he thought to himself, he's going to eat this chatos karban bird. He wants to serve it at a Yerushalmi wedding. Till this very day, they serve pigeon at Yerushalmi weddings to the chas and kal in the yicharu. So he's going to use it next week at a chasana he has. That's chutz l'zman. Pigul v'chayavim olav kares. You chayav kares for that. As long as you do everything correctly. What does that mean? Keitzad karev amater. So we know what a mater is. Mater means that when you do this, you have to do malika. You have to do mitzvah adam. Once you do mitzvah adam, that's it. That's the matter. From that point on, you could eat the bird. From that point on, you're yaitza. Even if you mess up, we said even if you didn't put the salt, you weren't makriv, whatever, it's still a good carbon. Okay, it's a carbon matter. How does it work? Malak bishtika. If the first avodah of milika you didn't have a bad thought, it doesn't matter. Why? Because the second avodah you had a bad thought. But when you did the mitzvah adam, your thought was to eat it in 4 days from now. No good. It's possible. Or he started off thinking he's going to eat it in 4 days from now. But the second avodah of the squeezing of the blood, he didn't think that. You don't have to think it in all the avodas. It's enough to think in one out of the 2. Or he did think in both of them. That for sure is chutz zman. That's a good pigul. This is mamish. He's a tzaddik. He's a rasha gomer. He did that very perfectly, beautiful. Okay, it's a loy karav amatik mitzvah. There's a lot of language here that for the simple, just the simple idea. Malak chutzlim koimoi. If he started off thinking to himself he's going to eat it in the wrong place in Bet Shemesh, and also in addition to that, he thought he's going to eat it in 4 days from now. Or he started off Shamal chutzim, he thought he's going to eat it in 4 days from now. In other words, it doesn't matter according to this man the Omar. It doesn't matter which one came first. The chutz l'zman came first, and then the chutz l'makom. Or the chutz l'makom came first, and then the chutz l'zman. That's not a good pigul. Why is it not a good pigul, Rabbi Isai? Because he added another thought. There's 2 thoughts here instead of just a pure thought of pigul. And this is mamish, not pigul. Both of them were chutz l'makom, so there's 0 pigul there. There's no chutz l'zman over here. What if only a chatas bird, is there a problem of l'shma? We said a oila bird, there's no problem of l'shma. That was the first mission in zevochim. Chatas oiv, about an animal. Now we're talking about a bird. Chatas oiv shemalaka shalei l'shma. So he had a bad thought. He thought to himself, it's not a chatas bird, it's a oila bird. Umitzu adam chutz zmanoi. So does the thought of shalei l'shma ruin the thought of pigul? Yes. It has to be a pure thought of pigul. Umitz adam chutz zmanu. He thought pigul. Or he started off beautifully. The Aveira was going well. He thought he's going to eat this outside of its allotted time in 4 days from now. But then he ruined it by umitza dami shel ishma. He thought that it's not a chatas, it's an oila. Or shemalak umitza adam shel ishma. He did both of the avodas thinking that it's a oila, not a chatas. Zeu shalei karav amatei mitzvasoi nebuch. He didn't do the aveira like he was supposed to. He's not going to get karas nebuch. Lecho gezayis b'chutz kezayis l'mocher. So now the Mishnah is just telling us that in order to do pigul, you need a kezayis, like everything else in the world, chametz, everything kezayis. So if his thought was one kezayis in Bet Shemesh, one kezayis in 4 days from now, kezayis l'mocher, kezayis b'chutz, or he reversed it. The first kezayis was in 4 days from now. Second kezayis I'm going to eat in Bet Shemesh. Or kechatzi zayis b'chutz, kechatzi zayis l'mocher. So now over here you don't have the shear, you have only a half a shear. They don't combine. Kechatzi zayis l'mocher, kechatzi zayis, even if they did combine, it's two different machshavas. So therefore, you don't get cars. Kechatzi zayis l'mocher, kechatzi zayis l'mocher, kechatzi zayis b'chutz. Possible bein by cars, you don't get cars. But it's possible. Omer Rabbi Yehuda Zakla. Rabbi Yehuda argues, and we have the same argument when it comes to an animal. So he says, whoa. If you thought to yourself you're going to eat it outside of the allotted time, then it becomes pigul. The fact that you added 7 minutes later a thought that you're going to eat it in a chemish, that doesn't ruin it. You already were over the aveira. The aveira is in. How are you going to undo an aveira? Then it's pigul. Then you do get cars. However, but if you thought that you're going to eat it in Bet Shemesh, came before the thought of Zman, that's when you ruin the machshava of pigul. Then you don't have a pigul. Possible mikaris. Is it possible mikaris? Just a repeating. Now, lecho kechatzi zayis ulahaktu kechatzi zayis. Now he's confusing two things. I'm going to eat a half a kezayis on a barbecue, and I'm going to put a half a kezayis on a mizbeach. I would think, but Rabbi Isai, I would think they're both eating. One is human consumption, one is the mizbech's consumption. So maybe the mitzdarif? No. Kosher, shein achil v'aktor mitzdarif, they don't go together. If you don't have nekudas like me, do not read a vikrivu, because that would ruin the whole sugya here. Because that would be plural. Vikrivoi is singular. That's why I have nekudas. Vikrivoi, matam aloymar. Lefishin emar vehikriv is minat toirim. Toirim is plural. Oy min bnei hayoyna, which is also plural. Yochol amistad devoy v'lo yivchos mishnei preidin. If a person is bringing, don't be a cheapskate, or don't be hard on yourself. You're a wealthy guy. You pull up to the Beis Hamikdash in your $200,000 car. You think to yourself, wow, I'm going to go into the Beis Hamikdash now and bring up a lousy bird. That's all I'm going to bring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nah, I'll come back tomorrow with the real thing. No, this is what you have now. This is what you do. You bring one. I would think you have to bring two. Like everything else in the Torah, it's always two. It's the oil and the chatas bird for the woman, for the nazir, for the mitzvah, whoever it is. It's always two. No, you could bring a nedava to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I don't care how wealthy you are. I don't care. You can bring one. Bring whatever it is, whatever you have right now. It says on Mizbeach. So why does it say kohen? Who could go? We'll see in a second. Only a kohen could go to the Mizbeach. Yisrael gets the death penalty if he goes to the Mizbeach. So why does it say kohen? Like boyloi kohen. Dafka kohen can perform the malika. I have a simple kavachomer. When it comes to sheep, even in Yisrael could shecht it, and there's a chumrah. You have to do it only in the north part of the Beis Hamikdash. You don't have to do the malika dafkin safan. And it is certainly, maybe even a Yisrael should be able to do it. That's halacha number one. You need a kohen to do malika. Another halacha now. We're going from halacha to halacha. Perhaps you should use a knife. Shchita, you could do a Yisrael, but you need a knife. I'll just say Rashi brings the Gemara later on. So certainly, malika, that you need dafka kohen, certainly you should need a knife. It's the kohen's finger, it's him himself that does the malika. Why do I need a pasuk that kohen does malika? Look at the pasuk over here. Yisrael should not go close to the mizbeach. The reason it says kohen that it should be done not with a knife, it should be done with the finger of the kohen. That's why, not that you shouldn't have a Yisrael in a kohen. No, that the kohen should do it with his finger. Maybe the oila you can do even on the bottom, the oila bird. It's above the red line. Why? How do I know it's above the red line, not below the red line, like a chatas bird? Because it says v'hikter. Ma'aktara b'rosham mizbeach. Where do you do the aktara? Where do you throw the bird into the fire? On top of the mizbeach. Have v'liga b'rosham mizbeach. Another Allah. Umalak mimul oirif. It says it should be, the malika should be done in the back of the neck, not in the front like a chicken. Like we shech today. Maybe it should be in the front like we shech the chicken. We learn it from the chatos. It says by the kan. Kan means by the oila. Umalak. It says by the chatos umalak. It must be done by the back of the neck. Oh, if you're learning from a chatos, so by chatos it says lo yavdil. You're not allowed to separate the two simonim. In other words, you shouldn't separate the head, or fakir. You shouldn't separate the head. In other words, you shouldn't separate the simonim. Maybe by oila you shouldn't separate the head. When you do the aktara, as we showed in the video, you have to bring the head by itself, and you bring the body by itself. You're mechuyev to do havdalah. You should be mavdil. Who told you? You're coming with an assumption. Who told you this assumption is true, that the aktara and the body and the head are separate? Because there's extra positive. What did it say before that? Another time v'hikter. We're talking about two different haktaras. Haktara 1 of the body and haktara 2 of the head. It doesn't say that he took mid damai, it says damai, kuloi. All the blood of the oila gets sprinkled out. You sprinkle this blood on the mizbech, not on the ramp. On the upper wall. It should be on the lower wall. We had this logic yesterday, but in the reverse. If you take the animal chatas, just look at the chatas. The animal is above, but the bird is below. So you're looking at the animal itself. You have the animal chatos is above, but the oila animal is below. So the same chatos that is above, but when it comes to a bird, you put it below, and it didn't show so certainly the oil should be below. So what's pshat? You do malika, and then you burn the head, and then you squeeze the blood. How's it possible? Where's the blood going to come out of the head if you already put it on a fire, in a very intense fire? There's no blood left. To tell us that the aktar is on top of the mizbeach, it should be above the red line. Okay, it's sad. How do you do this? We saw this. Go up the ramp. You come off the ramp on the exit, and you go to the soivev, which is the ledge. You do malika, you separate the two simonim. And you take the blood and you put it on the wall. Beautiful, check this out. He's standing above the red line, he bends down, and he does the mitzvah below him. He has one amma, it's kosher. Why? Not true. You're not allowed to do it over there. You have to do the mitzvah adam higher up. What's the machlokes? Beautiful. Rabbi say, if you run out of room on top of the mizbech for whatever reason, there's an issue over there, and you want to make another fire on the ledge, not recommended, it's a fire hazard, but let's say you want to do it. So this is what you do. You make another smaller fire right there. And Memela what? since I'm allowed to make a fire over there according to the Shita, then I'm just going to do the mitzvah right by the fire, right below it. It's beautiful. But if I cannot do the fire over there, and the fire is on top, how can I do a mitzvah all the way below? It's too far away. Fakir. This man Norma is going to hold that the mitzvah has to be higher up on the wall. It has to be close. You can't even do it on the lower part of that wall that he's standing on. You hear? That's a little bit of a knetch here. I didn't say this last night. He's going to hold it has to be close to the fire. An amma below that, I don't know how much, but not all the way down the wall, and certainly not below his feet.
Doesn't he have to walk all the way around in sprints?
Then he won't walk around. He'll jump over. Rabbi say, here we go. We're talking about this is the animal. Here's the zepek. You see the crop. You see the gizzard, the kurkavan. And it looks like this today. This is weissfish with the zepek. Now, maybe you should just cut it out. Just pop it out. Rabbi say, here, like this. Here's the bird. You cut. It comes out with the zepek, but a little bit of feathers with it. Now check this out. This is important. This is going to throw you off. You take out this crop, and you take the gizzard out also. No, the inside. It's a gizzard. I show you the gizzard. No, here. Look at the kurkavan. That's maybe in Hebrew. Look, this is the gizzard. It's a part of the intestines. So now, the pupik. Oh, the inside of the pupik. Okay. Now what we call the belly button. Okay. Now I want to ask you something. According to this man Omar, do you take a feather with it or not? This man Omar says you take the crop plus the gizzard, the pupik, the kurkavan. What about the feather? The answer is no. No feather according to this man Omar. So write this down with your pencil. No feather. Why? Because he learns the word noitza doesn't mean like we know in Hebrew noitza means a feather. He learns noitza, disgustingness. What's disgusting? The kurkavan. So he says, yeah, you cut it like a window. So some say it's no machlokes between the two shitas, those two shitas. Some say no, they have to be very exact according to the shita. You just mamish a square right where the gizzard is, you pop it out, or the crop. Let's just do this little sugya, unfortunately. You're supposed to tear it open. You do it with a hand, you don't do it with a knife. That he tore open the lion. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shiur today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.